Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills, because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brothas Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ followers perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with KD Smooth at One Brothas Mind.
This next story is so unbelievable, we didn't think it could possibly be true. But after receiving thousands of records and declassified reports from the Army, it's confirmed that during the Cold War, the United States military conducted secret tests on unsuspecting people in the city of St. Louis. A local sociologist will make her findings public tomorrow, but she spoke first to the I-Team's Lisa Zigman.
Lisa Martino-Taylor's life work has been to uncover details of the Army's ultra-secret military experiments carried out in St. Louis and other cities during the 1950s and 60s.
This study was secretive for a reason. They didn't have volunteers stepping up and saying, yeah, I'll breathe zinc cadmium sulfide with radioactive particles.
These Army archive pictures show how the tests were done in Corpus Christi, Texas in the 1960s. In Texas, planes were used to drop the chemical, but in St. Louis, the Army placed chemical sprayers on buildings and station wagons. City officials were kept in the dark about the tests. The Cold War cover story was that the Army was testing smoke screens to protect cities from a Russian attack. The truth, according to Martino-Taylor, was much more sinister.
It's pretty shocking. The level of duplicity and secrecy, clearly they went to great lengths to deceive people.
By making hundreds of Freedom of Information Act requests, she uncovered once classified documents that confirmed the spraying of zinc cadmium sulfide.
The greatest concentration of this compound was sprayed near the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex just south of downtown St. Louis. It was home to 10,000 low-income people, and an estimated 70% were under the age of 12.
Martino-Taylor claims they all unknowingly inhaled this compound morning, noon, and night, so the government could measure its effects on their lungs.
So this was in violation of all medical ethics, all international codes, and the military's own policy at that time.
In 1994, then Congressman Richard Gephardt asked the Army to open its records and explain the St. Louis testing.
We want to make very sure that nothing went on that would harm anyone and that all the facts are out on the table.
Documents released in the 90s show the Army placed sprayers on this former Knights of Columbus building on Lindell and in Forest Park. The Army always insisted the chemical compound was safe. Martino Taylor believes documents prove otherwise.
There's a lot of evidence that indicates that people in St. Louis, in the city, particularly in minority communities, were subjected to military tests that was connected to a larger radiological weapons development and testing project.
For the first time, she links the St. Louis testing to a company called U.S. Radium, a company notorious for lawsuits involving radioactive contamination of its workers.
United States Radium had this reputation where they had been found legally liable decades prior for producing a radioactive powdered paint that killed many young women who painted fluorescent watch dials.
While the Army admits it added a fluorescent substance to the zinc-cadmium compound, details of whether it was radioactive remain secret. Documents uncovered to date indicate the Army never conducted follow-up studies to see whether the compound caused long-term health issues. In 1972, after years of crime, poverty, and decline, the government destroyed the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex. Lisa Zigman, News Channel 5, I-Team.
Now, the company U.S. Radium no longer exists. Martino Taylor has placed all of her research, including the declassified documents, online and will link you to that data at ksdk.com. Now, she will make all of her findings public tomorrow at St. Louis Community College Merrimack campus. In the meantime, if you remember the spraying, the I-Team's Lisa Zigman would like to hear from you. You can email her at lzigman@ksdk.com. This next story is so unbelievable.
Okay, family. We're back. We are back. Yeah, you heard this report. Yeah, that's how I felt when I first came across it. Just another one in the long, long line of stuff that has been done to us, family, primarily in the U.S. It's been done to a lot of people, not just us. So the first question that I want to cover with you, family, is what is zinc cadmium sulfide? And I'm sourcing this just directly from their sources. Y'all, okay? This is Wikipedia. Zinc cadmium sulfide is a mixture of zinc sulfide and cadmium sulfide. It is used for its fluorescent properties, and of this chemical, it may occur along the food chain or in plants and seafood. Long-term or repeated exposure are expected to have harmful effects on the kidneys, bones, and the respiratory tract, resulting in kidney impairment, osteoporosis, and chronic inflammation of the respiratory tract. That's from Wikipedia. Now, when this study was conducted and this report was made, a lot of this information, family, had not been admitted to. Okay? So again, as you guys heard, during the 50s and the 60s, the Army released particles of zinc cadmium sulfide from airplanes, rooftops, and they used moving vehicles in not just St. Louis, but 33 locations, mostly cities and towns in the United States and Canada. Okay, fam? It was used, as they reported, as a tracer option. It was a chemical they could spray or release that, at least they said, it was harmful, but it would give the government and military the ability, because it was fluorescent, to be able to track it or trace it and how it moved, how it dispersed among the community. It was a simulation, reportedly. Okay? Now, here's the problem, or here's one of the problems with this story. Now, I'm getting this from, let me go back up here. I'm getting this from it's a book called Toxicological Assessment of the Army's Zinc Cadmium Sulfate Dispersion Test. Okay, this is just kind of a book written on this issue, and a brief summary of the book. I got the source in the description linked below, so you guys can follow up and do your own research on this. Now, again, this is a source that's been published, that's been put out, if you will, or allowed. Let's say that. Now, what do you think their sources are going to say? Exactly. So, but I'm going to read it anyway. A couple of highlights, no whole story. One, it is not well known of how the compound of zinc cadmium sulfate could affect people's health. Well, if it was not well known, why did y'all use it in the first place? Why did y'all not seek consent from people that you were going to use it on? There is little information on the toxicology, or toxicity, I should say, of zinc calcium sulfate in experimental animals. That means they didn't really study this on animals in any extensive way to try to help ensure that there wasn't going to be any negative effects, health effects. Okay? Also, information is not available on whether particles of zinc calcium sulfite that might become lodged in your lungs for a long time are harmful. Again, why did y'all do this spraying of people? Not knowing none of this, not having studied none of this. Okay. There was a subcommittee formed in the government, the same people who did it, the foxes, policing the foxes. Okay. This subcommittee did not identify any information. Oh, that's surprising. They did not identify any information showing that exposure to zinc cadmium sulfate could have caused adverse health effects in children of exposed people or just people in general. Why did they do that? I wonder. Let's see what this next highlight says. No medical test is available to determine whether you were exposed to zinc cadmium sulfate. However, you can be tested for exposure to cadmium in several ways. The amount of cadmium in your blood, urine, hair, nails can be measured by some medical laboratories. I'm trying to hold it, y'all. So again, family, why did the government conduct this experiment without the consent of the people that were going to be affected by it? Again, this is from, more specifically, 1952 to 1969. The Army, y'all, dropped thousands of pounds of zinc cadmium sulfate in nearly 300 secret experiments. They were conducted in places like Fort Wayne, Indiana, from 1964 to 66, St. Louis from 1953 to 63 and 65, San Francisco from 1964 through 68, Corpus Christi in 1962, and in Oceanside, California in 1967, as well as other places. Okay? In 1957 through 58, they were basically doing high altitude scattering of this chemical from cargo planes that flew from the Rocky Mountains to the Atlantic and from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. In St. Louis, Army researchers mounted, as the report said, spray apparatuses of zinc cadmium sulfate from the top of the housing project that thousands of people live, thousands of black people. They call it low income, y'all, but y'all already know. Thousands of black people lived in this place, and they literally just put them on the roof and sprayed it. So, one more highlight, or another highlight, it was published in the Journal of Industrial Hygiene in 1932. This is 32. This is before the experiment. This publication concluded that cadmium, no matter how small the amount taken into the lung, causes pathologic changes. Cadmium is now suspected as a human carcinogen. Can't talk today, y'all. That causes kidney damage, and it also can contribute to liver disorders, nervous system problems, and potential reproductive health problems. Okay, family? So, yeah. Wow. It never fails, y'all. The stuff that has been done to the black community. And be clear, the report said like over 300 of these secret sprains or experiments were conducted. You know, they pretty much probably sprayed a little bit of everybody, but most of these were done over and in black communities, family. And yeah, a lot of the communities and people found out, as you saw, and after it was done, and they raised holy hell about it and tried to get to the bottom of it. But how can you even come close to getting to the bottom of something when you're asking the people that committed the act to determine if the act endangered you in any way? The same people that did it, we checked, it's okay. Ain't no problems. It ain't about it. Meanwhile, years, decades later, people developing all kinds of different ailments, many of them not even aware to even ask their doctors or right after this, when they did discover this, to find out and go to laboratories and get their blood tested, their urine tested for high traces of this cadmium, okay? To see if this is contributing are the cause of their health issues. But again, family, I just wanted to drop this quick nugget. I'm not gonna stay long. This is gonna be short. I just wanted to drop this on y'all. Again, the sources links are in the description. Wow. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, to please like, share, and subscribe to One Brothas Mind channel. Here we're trying to build our channel and provide information and facts you need. This is just one of many that we're going to be doing, this revealing experiments that have been done on the black community and black people throughout this country's history. So again, y'all, let's chop it up in the comments. Let's chop it up there and tell me what y'all think. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the type of stuff. There's more. Oh, there's so much more, many more of them. Family, this is just one. This is just one. There's many more of these situations that have been exposed and that I'm going to cover here at One Brothas Mind. There's so many. But this is recently. You know, of course, you still got another one that's still going on in Flint, Michigan, and it ain't even quiet anymore. It's happening in many cities across the U.S. with the lead in the drinking water. The family, if you still drinking your water out the faucet and cooking with it, Lord help you. You have to, family, just for those that don't know, you have to filter your water. There's a whole list of stuff that's in your water, family, that's coming through your pipes. Put filters on your water for your drinking, for your cooking. And they also have shower filters. I should have shown y'all some of those. I didn't know I was going to get into the water filter thing, but there's filters for showers. There's this filter everything. We're being steadily poisoned. Okay, if you can, invest in a whole house water filter or filtration system if you can afford to do that. If not, buy the little filters for each of your little spots. Okay. But yeah, radioactive materials tested in St. Louis and 33 other locations. Wow. So, but they don't owe reparations, y'all. No, we got to do a study. We gotta have a commission. We need a study. But they're not saying that as they give millions to the Ukraine citizens. There's no study. There's no commission. They didn't say that when they gave and are in negotiations to pay like $450,000 each in settlements for immigrants that came across the border. These are immigrants that came across the border and were separated. That was horrible. Absolutely. But they didn't need a study or a commission to offer $450,000 up to, let's say that, $450,000 a piece. Okay? They didn't need a study to give millions to Asian Americans who, so-called during the Predator, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, here at One Brothas Mind, we don't call that thing that went on for the last 2 years or so the C word, we call it the predator. But they didn't need commissions and studies to give millions to Asian Americans who they said were targets of hate crimes and this and that. But mind you, the reports from the federal government showed that by far the greatest number of victims of hate crimes is, and it's been this way for decades, y'all, is black people in America. But they gave reparations to Asian Americans. So that's Asian Americans they gave money to, or reparations to, that's immigrants, people that ain't even citizens, they gave, in negotiations, let's say that, to give reparations to. And they're just handing over reparations or cash. Maybe it ain't even reparations. They're just handing them money. Millions, 500 million more was just reported just the other day that they're giving to Ukraine. They're non-citizens. Meanwhile, black Americans here in America, the descendants of slaves, of slavery, we have never received our reparations. And this, y'all, this ain't Trump. This is Biden. This is your Democrats handing out all this money. But what do black Americans get? We get a holiday. Somebody's face on a coin, maybe, I think it was. We get a so-called loophole anti-lynching bill that ain't gonna do nothing, that they not gonna use because they're gonna keep identifying bodies, black bodies found hanging from trees and other places that still happen to this day. They identify them as suicides. Family, do your research, look it up. Google body found hanging and do it year by year. I guarantee you, if not all of them, but like 95+% of them were identified and registered as suicides. But for some reason, with all this reparations money and money being passed out to everybody else, I'm talking to you, you black people, y'all keep voting for these devils. Y'all keep doing it, even though year after year, we up to past several hundred years now that our reparations, our 40 acres and mule, was supposed to have been paid out. In fact, I forgot one. They actually paid reparations not to slaves, but to the slave masters after the Civil War. They gave them land that was captured, free land that was captured during the Civil War. They just handed it, parceled it back out to them. Gave them money, all kind of stuff. Not to the slaves, y'all. To the slave masters. So miss me with y'all. Well, you know we got to vote, y'all. We can't do nothing if we don't vote. No, you don't vote. Reparations are no vote, period. Let at least the Democratic Party, and really you do it for both parties, let them earn our vote, because it's enough of us. For I don't know why so many of y'all ain't figured this out. If we vote, most of us vote as a block anyway, but if we're going to continue to do that, make the block announcement. Whichever party is going to pay us our full reparations will get the vote of the black community for president, for your local elections. And then sit back and wait. Don't say, well, let them say, well, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do it. So y'all go ahead and vote, and then we'll do it. No. Y'all gonna do it first. And then for your re-election option, we will vote for you. Okay? Like, stop voting for these devils. And some of y'all saying, well, why vote anyway? You know, and that's what I say. There's no point. But why vote for them anyway? They can just turn around and turn. Yeah, okay, well, then we can keep playing that game. We stop voting. Guess what? They don't win elections. Whichever party it is. They want to win elections. We want our reparations. That's how it goes. Tangibles or no vote. Cut the check. Stop voting for these devils. You say, well, why? What's good is it voting for if all of them devils? Well, good, because this is a system that we are in. Okay, that's why. And if we are stuck in it, and we're going to vote, we damn sure better be getting and need to be getting something in return. We're not getting a coin, a holiday, a new jacked up lynching bill that ain't gonna be used. Come on, y'all. There's so much more they claim to be doing. They kneeling. Y'all saw Pelosi and them, and now we're going to kneel and salute to Black Lives Matter. Get that. Oh my God, y'all. How long? How long we gonna, black family, how long we gonna put up with this? Tangibles are no vote. They're experimenting on us. They've been experimenting on us without our consent. Whether it's the cadmium sulfate experiments that I just reported on, the lead in the water in Flint, and then, trust me, do your research. That level of lead, if not worse, is in many communities around the U.S. But they just ain't, the so-called mainstream media ain't made no major reports about it. But it's all over the place. I remember doing research on just water alone. Did y'all know? Some of y'all know this, but did y'all know, you go back enough years, most of America's little streams of water and little rivers and lakes, it was called, you ain't heard this term in a while, it was called fresh water. And it was called that for a reason. Because you could literally walk up, get your little bowl cup or whatever you got, scoop the water, and you could drink it on the spot. Try that today. You go drink it, fold over, and die. Why? Well, many of us know it's for the sin of man, but specifically because of all the pollution that we have done in pursuit of creating products and making money and selling those products. Okay? All the crazy chemicals and compounds that's been used, that's been released in the air, burned and out the cars and vehicles. We've just polluted the air, which turns around, falls. Those pollutions then fall in the rain into our water supply, into our soil. That's why we have to filter everything, family, in our house. Everything you put on your body, everything you put in your body when it comes to water. Faucet filters, shower filters, water hose filters for those who do gardening. Do a whole house filter if you can. You can afford it. Okay, I got off on a tangent, family. I'm sorry. But y'all, again, please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to help us, y'all. We try to provide solutions here at One Brothas Mind, not just because everywhere else, people are going to tell you, what's wrong or what to put into action. Things that we can do to protect ourselves. So, once again, family, this concludes this broadcast, One Brothas Mind. Gun choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. But never fear, Yeshua the Christ is with you always. Shalom.